DBS community, welcome back to another video here at the Kyle Chris. Today we're going to be going over the new black leader that's coming out in set 22, which is going to be the Foo leader, Scientist Foo. So make sure you guys like and subscribe as always. Thank you guys for the support as we venture towards 2,000 subs. So breaking down this leader, we have a leader that essentially can draw turn 0. Again, I talked about this a lot. Any deck that can draw on turn 0 is very good. Just gives you extra advantage, but you already draw 1, take up to 1 life, and then search top 5 to play to place a black Foo or Cumber card in your Z deck face up. So these cards do become a portion of your Z deck, which at that point you are awakening at 4 life, which you are a draw 2 leader. Then on this side, you activate main, you draw a card, you do the same thing. So you look up top 5 and you put one of those cards into your Z deck, and then activate battle. If it's your opponent's turn, you could choose one of your black Cumber cards in rest mode, and switch the attack of the switch the target of the attack to that card. Essentially, almost like a free negate per turn, right? Your opponent, as long as you have this effect up, your opponent can't willingly attack into your leader and hand dump, because you will be able to divert the attack to another card, which is very, very cool. Now, we do have 2 very important cards that come in the Z deck. One is a Z battle card and one is a Z extra. Both of these cards play a very pivotal role in how this deck will perform. So the 1-drop battle card is a deflect. You get to stack any black Cumber battle card from your Z deck, which will be the face-up cards. Permanent. During your turn, once per turn, this card can't be removed from your battle area by your opponent's skills, meaning they can't remove it. So cards like Dormant, cards like Supreme Kai Negate, what are some other ones? We'll think Fist, Charismatic, Beerus Ball, things like that, or Beerus Destroys. These are cards that generally would hit 1-drops. This card cannot be removed once per turn. So then activate main, you get to look up the top 5 to put a Foo or Cumber card into your Z deck. So this essentially has the same effect as your Awakened and your Unawakened side of your leader. The Foo Laboratory, activate main, choose up to 1 of your black Foo cards with Z stack, and then place up to 1 black Cumber card from your Z deck under that chosen card. So this allows you to put the Cumber cards underneath your Foo, which is how you're going to end up playing a lot of these cards. You also have an activate battle. If you discard 1 card from your hand, you remove this card from the game. Play up to 1 black Cumber card with an cost of 6 from your Z deck in rest mode with its skills negated for the turn. So why this is important is that this card essentially gives you a get out of jail free card, which is, I think, incredible, right? So being able to, in the activate battle step, for 0 energy, you discard a card, play a 6-drop, and then use your leader effect to then deter the attack to that card. It's a very, very good effect. It's something you're probably, like I said, you're going to use it in the last ditch effort, for defense. But other than that, like being able to just Z stack cards underneath the Foo, essentially how this deck ends up gaining advantage. So first we'll go over the Cumber cards. So there are 3 that come in the set. They're all 6 costs. They're all Servant and 10Ks. And they all can be played underneath, from underneath a Foo Z battle card if your leader is a Foo card. So all of these have the same effect with that, right? So Jet Black Hostility, your opponent warps a card from their hand. So it's pretty cool. It's a 20k body that's going to warp a card from your opponent's hand. Thriving Darkness, you get the combo with a black battle card that has 5 combo power from your drop with its skills negated, making this a 25k, but also helps you build Z energy. And then Cumber Overwhelming Fight. You have to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and warp it. So we have hand disruption, board disruption, and then as well as just an extra combo cost to be able to get into to kind of fuel your Z extra cards or your Z plays for the remainder of the game. Then we have 3 different Foo cards that come out with this archetype as well. So all of them have the same permanent. If you do not have a Z extra in your battle area, these cards cannot attack, so you do need the Foo Laboratory. All of these cards are played for 1 if your leader is a black Foo, and you have to place 1 black Cumber card from your hand in your Z deck face up. You play this card from your hand, then you get to you add 1 Foo card from your Z deck to your hand. So it's essentially it's not a drawing effect, but it does allow you to fix your hand a little bit. So you're putting Foo and Cumber cards into your Z deck, and then you're using the Foo card to then snatch the you know, the Cumber cards go into your Z deck so you can play them. The Fu cards go in there so then you can rearrange your Z deck to put more Cumber cards in there, and then take the Fu cards out so then you can use their effects, right? So Supreme Intellect, choose one of your opponent's battle cards 5 or less and send it to the warp. A scheme set into motion draws you a card, and then making the next move searches top 5 for a black Fu or Cumber and adds it to your hand. So as you see, we have 6 different 0 to 1 cost cards that all have effects on them, which is incredible. This deck filters a ton, has board removal. It's a very, very good deck just based off of the archetype alone. Then we have these 2 incredible cards, which undoubtedly might be some of the best black support we have gotten since the thwarting the Dark Empire days. And I'm saying that with a caveat, because there's been a lot of good, with like an asterisk, there's been a lot of good black cards. You know, Evil Saiyan Seeker Rare has been very, very good, but nothing kind of like this stuff here. So we have Super Saiyan Cumber, Assailant's Fury, 25k 7-drop. You play it for 1 if you have 3 more energy, and you choose 1 black Cumber card from your drop or your warp. Place a card from your hand, and then place the chosen card under this card. Then, when this card's played, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost less than or equal to the number of cards in your Z deck, ignoring barrier, and send it to the owner's warp. That skill alone, if you just had that printed on the card for a 1-drop, this card's incredible. So all of the cards you are putting into your Z deck face up count as cards total for your Z deck. So if you have 7 cards in your Z deck, you can warp something 7 or less, ignoring barrier, right? There's not many cards in the game that actually hit this Cumber card from stopping it from activating its effect. There's like 2 green cards that effectively hit it. This card's going to come down, it's going to warp something. So all of those decks that play 4-drop Sin, the Frieza swap deck, Trunks Cheetah, these are decks that have given mid-range to control black decks trouble because they have to use the Smoke Dragon card to remove, and that's 2 cost. This is a 1 cost. That's a attacking body that's also going to warp something on play. This card is incredible. You're going to want to own 4 of this card, maybe more, because this card might, when black starts topping a lot of events, which we're going to see that a lot next set. In my theory here, this card's going to be very, very valuable. Thankfully, both of these cards have SPR prints, so the SR prints should be a little bit cheaper, so you should be able to grab them if you don't want to get the SPRs. Second part of this effect, though, you have 4 more energy and you place 1 card from under this card on the drop. When this card attacks, this card gains double strike for the battle. So not only is it removing a battle card, ignoring barrier for 1, you're swinging with it for 25k double strike for 1 energy. It is an incredible, incredible support for black. And they made it incredibly generic. Just having to absorb a Cumber card from the drop or the warp is the only requirement, which should be pretty easy to do for most decks. Then we have Super Fu, Assault Dominator. 25k dual attack, limit 1, so you can't, essentially what this means is that you can't have multiple of these guys on the board and them all have dual attack. And then you have Overlord once per turn. So you have Activate Main if your leader is black and your opponent has 3 more energy. Play this card from your hand, then play up to 1 black Cumber card with energy cost of 7 from your deck, from your drop or your Z deck face up. So, you can play this card that's on the left from your deck, from your drop area or your Z deck face up. That's incredible. So, and then also, if you look at the Cumber card, you will get the on-play effect. It's not being played from a particular area. So for 2 energy, you're establishing 2 25k bodies. 1 that's going to be able to swing twice, 1 that's going to warp something, ignoring barrier, and then gain double strike after you have 4 energy. Then, the Fu on this effect, you can choose one of your black Cumber card, choose up to one of your black Cumber battle cards, and engage serve it until the end of your opponent's next turn. So what this card does as well is you can give this Cumber an extra 10k, making it a 25k double striker on 4 energy. You basically pay 2 for this stuff, right? And then if you want, you can also overlord it at the end of the turn or another card, and then you can draw a card off of it as well. Both these cards are generic. I don't know if this is what they should have printed, like in the sense of like, this Cumber card is incredibly good. Barrier is no longer a problem for black decks. Every black deck is just going to play this card. So, yeah, and then honestly, most black decks might even play the Fu, because the Fu is just a great 2-drop. So, both these are incredible cards. So, that's really most of the archetype there. So now we're going to go into the deck building portion of the video and kind of show you guys what I came up with. Again, these videos are meant to be templates, so don't take them as like you can just copy and paste and these be very good competitive decks. They might be, but realistically these are just good for templates, and you can kind of add your own spice and tech to them as well. So now let's get into that portion of the video and see what we have for you guys. So we have the deck here, so let's go through the list that we created. I believe this is a 50, like 52 cards, I believe. We'll check at the end. So we'll start here at the beginning where we have the 3 different Cumber cards. I just started with 4 ofs. I think you can probably just continue with 4 ofs. You want to see these cards. The worst one out of the 3 might be Thriving. I don't know, it's weird because like Thriving is very, very good as the first one that you play, and then after that it's kind of like it's average. But you want to play this guy definitely first, so then you can the card you played to the card you use for Z energy to play out the food, to play this card underneath it, you can then put that card back into your Z deck, so then you can play Food's Lab. So then you can start playing food cards. So like it gives you a good combination of stuff to do. It definitely kind of keeps the deck flowing, but after that it's not as useful. It is a 25k body, but that's really it. These 2 are way more valuable. Just being able to warp something from your opponent's hand, and then this card warping something on board. These are definitely better for the archetype, I think. So going forward, I might run 4 of each of these and then 3 of the other one, but we'll have to go, once we actually do a lot more testing, we'll see what we come up with. Currently I've been doing untap, and this deck is very hard to play on untap. We have 4 of the Super Fu, and this is the SPR version of the card. Again, this card has an SR print, so this card's definitely going to be cheaper to be able to get, since you have the 2 different variances. But I think 4 of this card's great. You can also, again, it's a Fu card, so you can put it into your Z deck from off of your leader effect, both of your leader effects and the Fu effects. Right? 4 making a move, 4 supreme intellect, and then 3 a scheme into motion. We cut one of these down just for space. We have 4 of the one that warps something 5 or less. 4 of the card that searches top 5, and then 3 of the 1-drop cantrip. This is probably just going to be a preference thing, I think, with these 3 and these 3. The archetype is very big, but you do need to make sure you're keeping enough Cumber and Fu cards in the deck so that way you're never missing off of any of your effects. And then we have 4 of the Assailant's Fury. Again, this card has an SR print. I just wanted to use the SPR just because it's a really good looking card here. But again, this is a card that you're going to max out of 4 of. After turn 3, you're probably going to play this card every turn, or likely to get rid of something. So then we have 1 of the new secret rare, Great Ape Cumber, Golden Wickedness Amplified. So this is a mouthful of text. For one, it is a Cumber, meaning it's searchable off of the leader, off of the food that searches, as well as the Z battle card. So you actually can put this card into your Z deck, and then activate battle. If your leader's black and you have 4 life or less, play this card in rest mode from your hand or from your Z deck face up. So you can play this from your Z deck as well. It's a 40k double strike and permanent. If this card is in rest mode, you don't take damage. So just flat out don't take damage. So not only does your leader have a way of stopping an attack, you also have this card which you can basically stop anybody from hand dumping on you, which is incredible. This card basically just power creeps so much black, like tech pieces, including like Brainwash or more. It's almost like, why would I run anything else, right? Permanent, if this card were to be removed from the battle area by an opponent's skill, you may add 1 card from your life to your hand once per turn instead. So if your opponent removes this card, you can just add a card to your life to keep it on board. And activate main, if your life is 3 or less and you remove 2 cards from your Z deck from the game, add the top card of your deck to your life. So you can actually go back up to 4 life, which is, being able to ramp life is already a good effect. Being able to do it multiple times per game is ridiculous. So removing the cards from your Z deck, these can be your actual cards from your Z deck, or these can be the cards you put up there face up. So you can just remove cards and then ramp life. It's a very powerful skill. So we have 1 of this. 1 Beyond All Limits and 1 Heated Fighting Spirit. It's not a huge piece of this deck. We're not going to be reusing a lot of Overrealm, but it's a good tech, right? For 1 energy, you're getting 2 30k swings, 1 that can grab back anything. You also can grab back this guy as well, which is a good target, just in case you need to get it. You can get this guy back, and then for 2 energy, you can go, you can go Beyond All Limits into Super Saiyan, Cumber, which will then take a Cumber from your warp to then warp something, and then for another energy, you can then go into Heated Fighting Spirit to warp something else on board, and then gain crit. So you're swinging a 30k crit, and a 25k crit for 2 energy. That's very powerful. Can't go wrong with that. 3 Spore of the Dark Empire, black deck, we're going to want negates. Definitely want to be able to go down from 5 to 4 safely, and then being able to awaken whenever we want. 2 Petrification, the card's still probably going to be meta defining, so this might end up bumping up to 3 just depending on what's going on. Definitely you'll side him, of course. 2 Magic Gabora Dark Ruler, so this card's cool. So we have the 8-drop that has Overlord, right? We don't want to get rid of too many of our Cumbers because we want to use them for a leader effect, but some of them you might want to get rid of just so you can draw. So this card is essentially going to draw you a card, and then you can Overlord one of your Cumbers away to then draw another card, and then play a token, essentially a +3 since you're getting another 5k combo power on board. 3 Sun Gohan Changing History. So one of the things with this deck is that you do need to get a Z energy early, and there's a lot of cards now that can disrupt 1-drops. So you don't want to play a 1-drop that is that's just gonna, it's gonna get removed, right? So being able to play Gohan here, so you Gohan in a lot of matchups, even in like yellow and green matchups, you can play this card on board, sit it there, combo it off when you need to, because it has barrier, and then it's gonna draw you a card. And then in blue matchups, you can keep it on board to stop their D-magic effects. 2 of the Berserk Instincts Goku. It's another Overlord. It's another Servant card that we can use off the Magic Gabora, but it's also a 25k double strike. Again, 1-drop. This is another 1-drop 25k double strike, just like the Cumber here. So, just more pressure for cheap, which is what we want to find in this deck. I have 1 Scientist Foods. This is kind of a cheeky card. I've been using it on tap a little bit. It is a foo, so you can actually add it off of any of the cards that search foos. It's a 10k combo, which is kind of a problem why we don't want to have it in the deck, but it is an Overrealm, the old Overrealm card, old promo, used to be really expensive, but it's a draw 2 Overlord, Overrealm, so it could be a Overrealm play you can do to draw 2 cards. It also can just be a 10k combo. It can be something you can search out so you can charge it. It's a cool tech slot. This could probably be something else if we end up finding something better, but it is a foo card, so it's not a bad target. 4 Vegeta Super Combos, and then 2 Sun Gohan Rares, just to kind of round out the main deck. These are just obviously our Super Combos, which we need, and then Gohan just being a crazy good negate, also very good at disrupting attacks and extra attacks off of being able to Z-charge this to hit a card in your battle area, or in your opponent's battle area. Then we have the Z deck. We have 1 Fu Lab. This might go up to 2 in some cases. You cannot have multiple of these on board and trigger them all since they are a limit 1, so that is a problem. So it makes it almost, you don't want to run more than 1, but you potentially could if you like the bottom effect a lot. We have 3 Fighting Enthusiast Treatment, and then 1 Assembling the Strong. So this is from the Cumber deck. So the reason why we actually run this card is you can't use any of the top text, you can't use the Overlord effect, and you can't use the Z-stacking mechanic because our leader is not Cumber or Evil Saiyan. However, you can use the Fu Laboratory off of this. So if you can choose 1 black Fu battle card with Z-stack, and this card has Z-stack. So why this card's good is it is barrier and deflect. So this card can, it's hard for them to choose it. If you have the Fu Laboratory out already, you can actually put this card, you can have this guy on board, you can have the Fighting Enthusiast on board, Fu Laboratory. You can use the Fu Laboratory to put a card under this guy, and then use the Cumber cards to play them off of them safely. So just another way of being able to use it. It's more so for matchups where your opponent's going to be looking to hit this card from something, but this card can actually stick on board a little bit more because it has barrier. 1 Surmounting helps get down to 5, and then 1 of the new Super Saiyan 4 Son Goku cross-dimensional fighting spirits. That's probably the new fighting spirit terms, cross-dimensional. So it's a 15k 1-drop for 2 Z energy. When this card's played, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards and send it to the warp. Very powerful effect. And then activate main if you have 3 more energy. You remove 10 total cards in your drop and warp from the game. This card gets 10k power and double strike for the turn. I wish they would have made this an activate battle, because this card's very telegraphed. But it is a 1-drop 25k. It's a 1-drop 25k double striker. Again, it's just something else for the deck to use. You could also just put Boo in this category as well. Boo is good, but we added that guy in just because it's one of the new cards here. So we're actually at 53. But this is what I have for you guys here today. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, thank you guys for supporting the channel. If you guys have any cool, interesting things about this deck, please let me know down in the comments below. Hope you guys are excited about this set. I'm very excited to start playing Fu. At some point within the time frame of now until release, I will probably be putting some form of Fu gameplay out, whether it's on this channel or on the Patreon for people who'd like to view stuff on there. I haven't figured it out yet. We'll see once we get to that point. I'm still kind of in new dad mode, so a lot of the stuff is still trying to figure it out. So, but we'll go into that in a different video. But thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.